Hello, Reach Your Happy family. Thank you for tuning in to this week's energy forecast. So we went through a good amount of healing over the past little bit now. And little bit for you could mean the last 6 months. It could even be more specifically the last 6 weeks. In my area, the East Coast, we're transitioning into springtime, and a forecast some time ago was the reminder to bloom where you are planted. And this week you're going to find that you are blooming into something more than you have been before, which is really exciting. Also a little bit daunting, because in any new place, or rather any way that we bloom, there is this growing into period. So this week you're going to notice that I feel so refreshed, I feel so good to be in a different place than I've been. Yet I've been saying for some time that I've wanted to get to this particular place in my life, perhaps in your relationship, in your career, in your relationship to your body, or speaking your truth, whatever it is that you've been working towards. You've been wanting it, and now that you can feel this blooming sensation happening, there's a little bit of apprehension. And in our mind, it's like, I've been saying I want this. I've been saying I wanted this job change. I've been saying that I wanted to be more communicative with my partner. And now that it's here, I don't know if wait, is it that I don't want it, or is there just some fear? So notice any kind of fear or apprehension that rises up for you this week. It is just really a reminder of how far you've come, and that our brain is still catching up to speed with who you've come emotionally and spiritually. And in my throat, I can feel this kind of, I won't even call it a blockage, but this need to clear up some things. And what I'm sensing is that we need to clear up our communication to ourselves about who we believe we are. So for some time, since you were a young child, you have been taught and shown in many ways who you are. You are Italian, you are short, you are a kind, generous person, or you tend to be a little bit angry, whatever kind of ways, and I go like the ways you've been categorized. We're being encouraged to start a new script with ourselves. With this blooming that's going on, we are being asked, as soon as you get to a new level of openness, of awareness, you're asked to update all the software. So part of the software that needs updating is our script about who we are. So maybe you are Italian, maybe you are on the shorter side, maybe you do lean to being more compassionate and generous with yourself. Maybe that is still true, but what things can you update in regards to how you talk about yourself to yourself? It really doesn't matter about the outside world, how they would label or describe you. What really matters is how you are going to be describing you. In our society, we like to label things. There's a certain familiarity when you label something. It kind of puts your needle in the map for who you are in regards to that person or that situation. So it's this safety zone thing that we're moving away from, where our reference points are changing. And when our reference points change, we can feel a little on edge, we can feel a little apprehensive or anxious. But instead of interpreting this energy of change as anxiety ridden, and kind of like my hands are going like this, like, I don't know what to do. Where do I stand? How do I relate now that I'm so different? Instead, allow it to excite you. Because when something changes, everything can change. When you have changed just the slightest bit about your inner dialogue to yourself about who you are and what you stand for and how you want to be feeling in each day, when you start to change that little bit, you actually start to see the world quite differently. Your brain begins to orient you in a different way. So that's why the power of our thoughts and our voice is such an incredible tool we can use when we're in a more receptive space. When we're closed off, when we're feeling down on ourselves, our mind and our thought patterns about ourselves can be, or really are, the most detrimental thing. So, what can you claim for yourself this week and perhaps use as your mantra? Like, things are always working out for me. Like, I am strong and capable of moving through anything. Or perhaps I always have been and always will be supported. I feel the support of my angelic team. I feel loved by myself. I feel empowered. I feel what? What is it that you want to activate in yourself this week? Because when you hook into something, onto something that's empowering for you to say, use that consistently this week and show yourself how much what you think about becomes your reality. Something that we're being called to remind ourselves of as well this week is our connection with all. So, what compassion is really about is that I've been there in some way, or I can relate to that emotion. Maybe you didn't lose your husband, or you haven't had that accident happen to you, but on some level you've gone through some version of suffering, and you can have compassion for what that person is going through. And that's something that connects us all, that we as human beings can experience the range of emotions from depression to bliss. We can feel that all. How frequently are we touching on those really high or really low emotions really depends on the person, on really your soul's contract here. But nonetheless, we can all experience the whole gigantic range of emotions. So when you see someone this week, maybe someone close to you, maybe a stranger begging for food on the street, instead of feeling bad, we can have compassion. Like, I've had some form of feeling misfortune before, and I can have compassion and hold in my heart the knowing that things can change for all of us in a beautifully positive direction. That's the wonderful thing about change, is that nothing is permanent. It's always changing. So I remember my dad saying this to me a long time ago: if you're in a bad situation, don't worry, it'll be over soon. If you're in a good situation, embrace it, enjoy it, soak in everything you can, because that's going to change soon. The only constant in your life is going to be change. So appreciate as much as you can, and don't hold on to those negative thoughts, those fears, those worries too long, because it's going to constantly be changing. So maybe it's your mother that's suffering, or your partner. Again, and maybe you see some animal wounded on the side of the road. Instead of going down into the pain and the suffering and, oh, that must be so bad, let's recall that, okay, yes, I'm witnessing that suffering, and I also know that state's going to change, whether that animal passes, whether they get help. That state is not going to be forever. Thank goodness. So embracing the change that you're moving through and witnessing it in everyone around you this week. This idea of oneness, that we are all one humankind, allows us to not take people's behavior so personally, because we too have been there in some form or another. We too have had road rage or been inappropriate or been rude. And I'm not saying to stand up for those behaviors or let them, just pass on by. I think standing up for yourself is an incredible thing, and having boundaries with people and telling people what's acceptable or what's not acceptable to you that's empowerment. And, I don't watch the news, but when I get little glimpses on my social media feed or someone sends me something, it makes so much sense to me how there is so much anxiety and fear rampant in our society, because we get broadcasted the horrors of the world. That's what the news is, right? It shows you the worst case scenario that's happening across the globe. Not saying that's a bad thing, but just remember, if you're a big news watcher, remember that that state is going to change for them. That we don't need to get so hooked on the suffering of the world, but more so remind ourselves that that is so natural. That Mother Nature, that is her game. So, if you're in a state of change, if you feel like you're blooming into something, you're transforming this heavier energy that you've been feeling, embrace it completely. Don't feel bad for your neighbor that she's not quite there yet, or your partner or your new boyfriend that he's not quite up to speed with where you are. We all have our unique path to follow, and it is not up to any one of us, not me, not anybody, to pull each other along the path. Your happiness, your beautiful sighting of a bald eagle, your delicious glass of wine, your incredible intimate moment with a wild animal, that is for you. You attracted that into your experience. So this week we're being encouraged to notice what's on offer for us. Also notice our tendency to wanna kind of pull people up on our ship with us. Hey, look at this beautiful sunset. Oh, you don't care because you have a headache. Okay. Hey, look at this. Hey, look at that. I used to be a big, when I'd hear a good YouTube video, I would send it to whoever I thought of. Oh, just listen. But I slowly realized that the message that I was receiving from these videos was for me. But sometimes you'll find someone in alignment with what you're doing. Like the other night, I don't know when it was. Last week maybe sometime, I was relaxing after work and just listening to some Ram Dass videos, and my very good friend sent me a clip, and I was like, it's so interesting, we're across town from one another doing the same exact thing. So there are those moments, but notice the difference between I feel inspired to send this to her versus I think he should hear this. It's not our job, our duty, our obligation, our right to try to shove knowledge, wisdom, healing, understanding into someone's experience. It really is such a beautiful thing to remember, to each their own. We're all experiencing life in a very unique way, and I give you permission, and I hope you can do the same thing for yourself, to simply enjoy your personal experience or be in your own suffering, and not needing your partner to be on the same page to feel as bad as you do. If you're in a good mood and your partner's in a bad mood, or your mom's in a bad mood and she can't, take your good news well, to not take it personally. Because it's not about you. Take your good news and write about it, sing about it, dance in the car. Do whatever you want to do with your good news, with your beautiful experience. And if you feel inspired to share, go forth and do so. But it's like, oh, we're shedding these layers of needing other people to be on the same page with us. Because you'll find that it's very uncommon to be on the same exact wavelength as someone. Again, me and my friend both listening to Ram Dass videos at the same time, chilling out and you know, exchanging that. Maybe that's not a unique experience. Maybe that's not all that hard to come by. I certainly don't want to put that around it, but when those moments happen, they're special. They feel magical. But to expect that all the time, it's just not likely. And I do believe our partners, our best friends, our closest people to us in our lives are here to show us that their approval, the acceptance in their eyes of what you're doing or how you're feeling needs to really not matter. What is the top priority is that you care about your experience. You take responsibility for how you're suffering and do what you can about it. Make that appointment, break up with that guy, do what you gotta do. But remember, we all carry our own burdens. You know, you don't necessarily have to subscribe to the Catholic faith, but the image of Jesus carrying the cross, right? That's like the ultimate burden. We all carry some sort of burden, and we make choices we have choices in life. There are sometimes burdens put on us. That's the cross that we have to carry. But you know, me doing my own business, that's a cross that I decided to carry because that is a less weighted, uncomfortable cross for me to carry than it is to work for somebody and be told what to do. So remember that when you're witnessing an animal suffering, I know springtime is coming, so there's lots of roadkill, and I used to just get so heartbroken about roadkill. And it's like, I started to shift that because I didn't want to feel like I couldn't be in the world. I couldn't witness what Mother Nature, what happens in the world, and you know, witnessing the news. It's not that I can't look at it, it's just that I have enough anxiety in my life that I want to get my inner world in order before I can really witness the rest of the world and be of service and be helpful. And I'm not preaching that that's what you should do. I'm just telling you my reason why. But the roadkill situation, it's like every time I would see a dead animal, it would just be like a stab in the heart. And so I started to question, what is my belief about death? What do I believe really happens? Well, I think, you know, witnessing my mom die, that the second she took her last breath, it was just her physical body there. Like, she wasn't in there anymore. The body, it was such a like aha moment that, and even like the joy that I felt, like, oh my gosh, okay, so this was a physical form. Her soul, you know, what made her her, she's not in there anymore. She is somewhere else. I don't know where the hell that is, but I hope to connect with her sometime. But I knew she wasn't in that physical form. And so my belief about death is that our soul, that aspect of you that makes you you, not the physical you, but the one you can hear over the phone you, oh, she makes me feel so good you, the really caring, compassionate, the feisty, aggressive you, that energy that you embody, that's what I believe continues on. Continues on, whether you believe in heaven or some sort of afterlife. I believe that souls continue and are eternal. So there is no true death. There is death of the physical form. Again, this is my belief. There is death of the physical form, but not that soul part of us. So when I started witnessing animals, I'm like, I wonder where Mr. Coyote went to. Like, is he already reincarnated? Is he a bird now? Is he a human? Like, does that crisscross? You know, I get a little bit more curious instead of thinking, oh, I hope he didn't have children. I hope he wasn't getting food, you know, going on this kind of rampage of pain. But I realized that pain and negativity, it's easy to come by. because there's so much suffering in the world. Even, it's very little, but you know, waking up hungry. Yes, I have food in my kitchen, but it's like, oh, I gotta wake up, I gotta get the food, I gotta go to the bathroom, I gotta, like, there's these little, it's like all day long, there's something that we're craving, we're needing, we're wanting. I had such a long day, now I'm so tired, I need to rest. Oh, I didn't sleep good. Oh, you know, there's just so much in the world. It makes sense that we just kind of frost all of our life with that. So like my dad so wonderfully shared, that to embrace those sunsets, like right now that it's light out when I'm doing the energy forecast, I'm like, wait, is it early? Wait, I'm confused. Like, what's going on here? No, this is just a time of change, of bringing more light into our life, a time of positive change. So look out for the number 5, maybe 555, maybe you see it on license plates. Notice the number 5, because it is a message to you from the angelic realm that you're being supported, that you are shifting into a more positive, optimistic flow in your life. Okay, I'm gonna see if there's anything else here. Yes, there's some hope on the horizon of connection. Vaccines are going out, and I'm not saying one thing or the other, but if you are getting vaccinated, there is hope that you can hug your grandmother. There is hope that you can hug your best friend's baby. You know, there's hope on the horizon. So notice that kind of like bubbling, enthusiastic energy. And if you feel that in yourself, go forth and allow it to go through you. You're not gonna waste it. It's not gonna kind of run out of steam. Get going on that momentum, get going on that train, get outside more, plant some tulips, like get excited about what's to come. Likewise, if you're on the flip side of that and feeling hopeless and bored and low, know that you will have your period of excitement and enthusiasm, but it's just not right now. You are being asked to continue to turn inward, continue this grand pause that was quarantine. You're being asked to continue to pause, to continue to go inward. We can't force joy, just like we can't force negativity. We can't force the change of seasons. They come upon us. But there are some things that you can do to, right, we can't change Mother Nature, but we can assist ourselves in transitions. We can reach out to our community, to our aunts or our best friend, or whatever kind of services. If you get Reiki, you know, reaching out to these services that you know provide support for you to help continue to cleanse things off. Because if you're feeling like on that flip side of the coin, not like, woo, spring, but instead like, geez Louise, I know it's getting nicer out, but I'm still feeling this kind of heaviness. My mom and dad here today, my dad's not dead, but my mom used to say, you know, when I would have a stomach bug or a fever or something, that it would have to kind of get worse before it got better. And when you are at that day where you're like, I can't fucking take it anymore, I just can't deal with this, that's just when you're turning that corner. So the intensity of heaviness may be ramping up to finally be released. So do what you can to shift your attention to that thing, those things. Maybe it's just one thing that brings you life, that brings you light. We can't force ourselves to shift, but we certainly can create an environment that allows us to move into that easier energy with more ease. Ease. What's easy for you? Right. Let's see, anything else? No. I think that is all for today. So I hope this message finds you well. Thank you everybody for following along, for subscribing. It means so much to me that you guys are tuning into this. Thank you for showing up for my Instagram lives and asking great questions. I'm going to be doing more Instagram lives for sure. I've never done a Facebook live. Those questions aren't private though, and that's a big thing that I like, is the privacy factor. One other thing is that I'm getting trained to become a Reiki master teacher. So I am a Reiki master, but I'm becoming a teacher so I can pass down the Reiki teachings. There's Reiki 1, Reiki 2, Reiki master, then Reiki master teacher. So there's a couple different levels, and I am going to not just incorporate the healing portion, but the intuitive side, because y'all know that I believe we all have a gift, and I want to help you help yourself and other people as well. So if you're interested in that, look out for my emails about it. I will keep you posted. And until then, I wish you presence, maybe even peace, if that's not too far out for you. I love you. I thank you. Have a wonderful evening, day, morning, wherever you are. Take good care of you. Talk to you soon.